Welcome to Altitude After Dark. It's your boy DMac. I'm with Coach Mike Sanford, who's got an excellent, tremendous Halloween costume. And I guess if you know, you know. I mean, I knew right away, and it looks absolutely spectacular.
I want to know more about your Halloween costume. is that a Los Angeles Dodgers parade celebration, or is that? I mean, what do we got going on here, DMac?
All right. So, should I go with this was a Halloween costume or I got in an accident? What do you think I should go with the way the face is looking right now?
I mean, you have an out, which is good, right? It's the perfect day to look like that.
Yeah.
But I love truth. Like, I'm a big fan of hearing real stories. So yeah, I'd love to hear.
All right, let me tell you the truth. Because of my face, despite the fact that it's Halloween, my wife and I made a decision for me not to go to the door when the trick-or-treaters came because it was too scary. All right, I'm laughing. On Halloween, it was too scary because it looked too real. And the reason it looks real is because it is real. It is real. I got in a bike accident on the way home from work today.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was there was an area that was like sidewalk is blocked and I go the same route home from work. I ride my bike literally every day. You know it. You see me every day on the bike. And you know what? We'll get to this story in a second. We'll get to the boy, you got to stick around for this story now. Let's hear a little bit from our sponsor. Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Beau Smith can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. So get started by giving Beau a call at 303-758-8500 or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. That's a good before and after, isn't it?
I was going to say the power of media, the miracle that is media. You look great there, DMac. Your face looks right. First off, I just want to say that I'm glad that whatever happened in the accident, that you're doing a podcast at 8:00 on Halloween night.
I know. So what happened was they were filling a huge chunk of the road with cement, but I thought the lane was just closed to cars. And I am very used to, on my bike, weaving between traffic cones. I do it all the time because this road, that road, the other. I really shouldn't do it. And boy, did I learn my lesson today. So when I went through what I thought was just flat, it looked flat. It looked flat as whatever. It was wet cement, bro.
Oh,
and it was pretty deep. And it might have been like a 4-foot gap. So it wasn't small. So the front wheel of my bike just instantly sinks into the wet cement. And I just go
ass over tea kettle.
That's right. And I landed on the right side, basically the right side of my face. My glasses were absolutely destroyed. And I think a lot of the damage, my cuts and everything, are actually my glasses that cut up my face a little bit because I had sunglasses and glasses. I know I had glasses on. I did have a helmet on, and I will say this, and we can joke and have fun with it for sure, because I'm a little scratched up, but I'll be okay. The helmet really helped. I'm not going to go as far as to say it saved my life or anything.
Probably saved you from a concussion.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was remarkably, the bicycle itself was fine. The chain came off the front, sort of sprocket thing there. I don't even know what you call them. And but that was easy. I mean, it was like it took like literally a second for me to put the chain back on. And I'm like, well, certainly the bike is fucked up. And it wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And then I'm in a weird spot. Like, I only live 2 miles from home. I know my face is bleeding, but the bike actually works. And I'm like, I picked up the pieces of my glasses, and I was like, by the time I would call my wife or you know what I'm saying? Like I would have been sitting there for like a half hour.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll just get home.
Yeah, you big dogged it. You said, screw it, we're going.
So I said, screw it. And I rode my bike back to just a couple miles up the hill, but it is uphill to my house. It's downhill to work, uphill home. And then I got to look, and I had not looked in the mirror, and God bless my wife, because can you imagine this? And it was, dirt and cement and
not to mention just the weirdness of just returning from anywhere on Halloween day.
Right.
Your face looking like that. The natural reaction is like, oh, that was a good one,
So I get in the shower, I clean up, Neosporin all over the place. My neck's a little stiff, my wrist's a little stiff. Ask. Yeah, I'm a little stiff. Hopefully it's nothing serious, just a little. Hopefully it's just a little stiffness, no big deal. I'm moving around pretty good. I don't know when I'm going to get on my bike again, but that being said, so once everything looked okay, we really did have a conversation about should I still hang out with you at the door? And the decision was, no, you look too scary with your face on Halloween, because it really does look real. It looks pretty damn real.
No, it looks incredibly real. Like it's like I am dressed up as DMac that just got in a wreck on a bike. That's exactly what you look like. Like when you logged on, I did not think that you had gotten in an actual accident. And then I looked closer, on this little platform we use, and I'm like, wait, that's real.
Yeah.
You're gonna be stiff tomorrow and sore tomorrow, dude. Like your neck is, your back. You'll have some things because your adrenaline's probably still pumping. It's been about 4 hours.
Yeah. About
5
that.
maybe.
Yeah.
You're tomorrow morning, man. You're gonna wake up and it's gonna be like, But you know what though?
Yeah.
I mean, you could say a lot of things about DMac. you can say that he's got a Beaurection, a perma Beaurection. You can say it, but the man will find a way to show up to work even if his face looks like the mask from the 80s, not the Jim Carrey mask, the OG mask, because that's probably what you're gonna look like tomorrow, bud.
Yeah, it's a little scary, and I don't think there's a lot of ways to cover it up right now. I have all my teeth, thank God, and I feel all right. My eyesight's fine, and it's just, but you should see the other guy will be my excuse. But that's the story. I'm glad you're good, man, because you know what? I can turn this to football. Watch this. I can turn this to football.
Yeah, I know you can.
When I went through this, it really made me think, my God. What do these guys really go through every week? Seriously, what are they going through? Now, I get it. They've got protection and everything, but I mean, the way you put your body on the line, the collisions that you get in, and now granted, I decided to tackle the pavement going like 20 miles an hour, head over the handlebars. Well, maybe it's not quite that graphic. And I think of like hockey players and different guys that get messed up in the face and the head. Have you ever wrapped your head around the necessary violence that comes with the sport that you love so much?
Yeah, there's a reason that these sports that are extremely violent, they just happen to do better at the box office and with the TV ratings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason for it. There's a reason that Dana White's doing so well with UFC. There's a reason why football is so much more of a cash cow than Major League Baseball and the NBA. I mean, it's not even close. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that you and I and the rest of our friends at Altitude Sports Radio talk so much football, because it's what people want to see. Yeah. It goes back to the old ancient Roman gladiators, right? It's, filling up stadiums to see people put their life in harm's way. Mm-hmm. And that's what you do with football. The one thing that is different about football is like the way you're going to feel tomorrow, more your body, think less flesh wound, your body is going to feel, it's going to be a lot like what football players feel like after a practice, like in training camp.
Gotcha.
And especially when you haven't been exposed to that type of hitting and thumping, like you wake up as a football player the next day and your body's just like, oh gosh.
Right.
And it's amazing the amount of modern science and rehab therapy that's available to make you feel right for the next practice. But it's truly a miracle, because there have been times, and I was a quarterback and I wore that red jersey and all that stuff, but there were times after a full live contact scrimmage where I was like, oh, I haven't done this in a long time.
Right.
And you're like, I can't get out of bed.
Any trepidations about your boys playing?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, zero. 100%. And this is a personal thing. It was passed down from my dad to me.
Mm-hmm.
The Sanford family, starting with Mike Sanford Sr. and passed down to me, don't believe in youth tackle football. We think that you're putting yourself into a lot of positions where you could be exposed to really bad coaching, either fundamentally in how to tackle, but also just like total blowhard youth coaches, which I've become privy to here, DMac, and since I've been in my civvy life post coaching, right? Is there's some total blowhards in youth sports every sport.
Yeah,
it's insane, man. Youth sports makes me at times want to vomit. I love it for my kids, but there's times when I just bite my tongue.
Well, it's the reason why I started coaching, because I just couldn't take it. Now, my kids were lucky. In other sports, the coaching was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
My son was lucky to have great coaches through hockey. My younger son through wrestling, really, really good. But it's funny, the sport I felt the most passionate about, that I was most connected to, baseball, I couldn't believe how bad the coaching was.
I became exposed to that this year for the first time, and I was mind blown.
I couldn't take it. It was so bad that I was like, okay, I guess I got to do it. And even if I couldn't be there, because I'm on the radio during a lot of the games and everything, I said, I'll run it. I'll figure it out. And not only did I do that, but my wife and I started our own youth baseball organization. And we ran 17 teams for lower income kids for the better part of 4 years. I'm really, really proud of what we did.
Yeah.
But take a guess why the main reason is we had to stop after 4 years. Take a wild guess.
Because you guys were whooping everybody's ass?
No, it was because of the coaches and the adults. And you could I couldn't pay anybody. So I had to depend on volunteers. And despite being shown the right way to do things, some of these dads, they really, Mike, could not help themselves. And it wasn't just the dads. I had a few moms that were out of control too.
Yep.
We had so many more good experiences than bad, but bad experiences just stick with you, man. They just stick with you.
Yeah, so I would say this, if we have I don't know, people watching this across, it's a Halloween night. Happy Halloween to everybody. But if you are watching this, and none of us are perfect, right? None of us raise our kids perfectly. So I'm not going to get on a soapbox and say that I'm even remotely close to that. But if you're the parent of a kid in youth sports, just every once in a while, just take a little bit of an assessment of oneself and say, if there's even a chance that you're being a little ridiculous, guess what? You're being extremely ridiculous. Yeah. Just check yourself, because what I found is that parents ruin sports more for kids than kids ruin sports for themselves.
It's amazing. And winning the 10-year-old state championship ain't that big of a deal.
No.
By the way, you got to understand, sports organizations call everything the state championship, and there probably are 19 different divisions of a state championship, and you're really not that big of a deal. Just know that. And there's something else I would tell parents. It's called puberty. It's a big game changer. Puberty. Man. And so when things get more competitive, and it's not like you can't have 10-year-old competitive teams. There are 10-year competitive teams. But what happens is that coaches find loopholes to cheat the game.
Yeah,
they cheat the game, and they just get away with things that they know they shouldn't be able to get away with, and they won't get away with. They're doing the kids a disservice. I had a baseball coach who realized catchers at 10 years old cannot throw anybody out. So he just had every kid on his team steal on the first and then second pitch. So if you walked, your kid was at third base. He wasn't wrong about that, but you're cheating the game, and you're just teaching the kids the wrong thing about how to play. So he would have every kid take the first two pitches. He would just say, go. He didn't have any signs. He would just say, go. And the kids would steal. And I'm like, it's working and you're winning a lot of games, but is that really the right thing to be teaching your kids? But he was one of my coaches. So what do? He's winning games. He's doing things the wrong way. And then I realized maybe I should just coach my own kids' teams and sort of be done with it. All that being said, I know that's not why people are here. People are here for us to talk about football and the Broncos. This comment, I never thought somebody would look worse than the Jets tonight. I saw them at 7-0 at halftime. Before we get into football real quick, what is Mike supposed to be? Enough about my screwed up face. Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, QAnon Sean.
I am Bob Ross, the famous painter that guided us through the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And even to this day, his YouTubes are a lot more famous than any one of my YouTube videos or DMac's YouTube videos will ever be.
For sure.
Yeah, just Bob Ross, man. Great. I found out today in wearing this Bob Ross costume that there's some conspiracy theories that Bob Ross, God rest his soul, was a serial killer.
What?
I heard this from 3 people today. That there's like this whole tinfoil hat theory that Bob Ross was actually he was drawing the landscape portraits of where he buried the bodies of those that he killed.
Get out of here. Come on.
And how about this? You want to know the wildest thing? So of course I did a deep dive on it. And I don't think it's true. Not even close. Bob Ross is a great guy. But he's dead, obviously. But you can't buy a Bob Ross painting.
Why?
In every single episode that he filmed on PBS and all that, and now that's on, it's available. You can't buy. There's no art gallery that has Bob Ross paintings. It's held by his estate and never released again, which is really interesting. So yeah, a little Bob Ross trivia right there for you.
Well, let's paint some happy little trees and happy little
Bob
bushes.
Ross did not have that long of a beard, so I'm going to take my beard off right now.
Okay. I admire the costume. I think it's good. By the way, we do not answer the door after 8 p.m. You had 2 hours to go trick-or-treating. And, teenagers can pound sand, older teenagers. If you can drive, you don't need to be trick-or-treating.
Yeah, we had a late arriving crowd tonight.
Did you?
Yeah, even like some of the little kids, we were all ready at about 5:45, and they're still coming pretty good right now.
Your kids old enough to go out on their own?
Yeah, this was the first year that we cut it loose.
How was that?
It was good, man. My wife, we've got that Life 360 app that we can see where my daughter is because she's got a phone. She's 14, and then she's with her best friend. Okay. So she's watching the 7 and 10-year-old.
Okay, all right.
Our neighborhood's pretty small, but we actually allowed them to cross the street and go to the next neighborhood over. So my wife's probably panicking right now. She's a little bit more the worrier, and I'm like, we'll be good, man. Everything's good.
They're not back yet.
They've checked in twice. So we let the 14-year-olds go out again, and the 7 and 10-year-old are doing the sorting of candy, one of the great traditions of Halloween night.
It is the best. Okay. Let's get to the Ravens and the Broncos. And I want to start with this clip from Vance Joseph from earlier today about how they're going to try to stop the Ravens defensively.
So it's going to be stop the run first. The challenge with these guys is stop and run first. You need numbers, obviously. So you're playing single high, you're playing flat zero defenses. Now the pass game activates. So that's the real challenge. And they're not at 3 wide receiver team, right? The most they're going to give you is 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends. So they're forcing you to play running game, even on third downs. They're very good on third downs because they're short. It's 3rd and 4 where the running game's still alive. So what do you do on 3rd and 4? So that's the challenge. And, watching the season, everyone's having the same issue. When to play run, when to play pass. It's 88 tight end, it's 88 receiver. That's the challenge. But, you have to take something away, and my preference is the running game, and make them throw it. So we'll see how that works out on Sunday. But we have a plan to get both stopped, but we'll see how it comes out.
What a unique team the Ravens are. Number 1 in the league in rushing yards at 200 yards per game, and Derrick Henry close to 1,000 yards already. Wild, right? Lamar Jackson with over 500 rushing yards himself, but they don't suck just at running. No, I mean, they're not just good at running. They're great at throwing the ball too, as they're 5th in the league at 252 per. And then on the defensive side of things, it's really interesting. They are, by the numbers, 1st against the run. However, they're 32nd against the pass, Mike. And even Bo Nix said yesterday, well, listen, here's the deal. Teams are behind. You don't have much of a choice here. And it affects both the run and the pass. Like the pass defense ain't that bad. Okay, what a really, really interesting team to go against. And the news from today is that Lamar Jackson missed his 2nd day of practice, not looking like me, but with a knee and a back issue. So that's a little bit of a raised eyebrow, although I think he'll figure it out for Sunday. that's a big lowdown on the Ravens. Your take?
Yeah. Bo Nix even mentioning the fact that those passing stats are a bit fool's gold is almost to me settling the debate that we had on this very program, then we had for a week on Altitude Sports Radio and all the different Denver market, TV, radio. Did the second half passing yards really count against the Chargers for Bo Nix?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is the conversation. And I'm not saying that they don't count, because they do. Because if you really suck, you don't find any success even in the second half. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young and that terrible Panthers offense didn't find success until the very final drive of that game. So I'm not saying that. I will say that if you're building a championship caliber football team, and you want to look back after 7, 8, 9 games and say, what are we really good at? You want to be really good on rush offense, rush defense, and turnover margin. The interesting thing is that the Ravens are phenomenal at rush offense, rush defense. Phenomenal. Top 1 in the National Football League. And that's a cultural thing, DMac. That's not new to 2024.
Right.
I don't know if you saw the stat that the Baltimore Ravens lead the NFL with 41 consecutive games with at least 100 yards of rushing. Let that settle in. Think about how many times the Broncos in the last 4 years have been short of 100 yards total rushing as a football team. They've done that. So that's inherent to who they are. It's also a byproduct of having a quarterback that can do so many things in the ground game and creates a lot of conflict. And Vance Joseph even talked about it. Is, do you want to be a run team, run defense, or do you want to be a pass defense? And I would take it even further. Do you want to be a run defense that stops traditional run game? Or do you want to be a run defense that accounts for the quarterback and what they do with Lamar Jackson as a runner? Right. And that's where the thing gets really tricky. I think that this team's really good. I think that not only the fact that your quarterback is a top 10 athlete in all of the National Football League, and I believe that. I think Lamar Jackson's he's in that PS2 athleticism category as a runner, as a short area quickness, make you miss. He has got that type of athleticism, but he's throwing the ball well this year, man.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody who thinks that Lamar Jackson's not a passer, I got that dude on my fantasy team this season. I've been shocked what his passing numbers have been like. Shocked.
So do you agree, though, that you have to make a choice defensively in terms of what you gear up for, that you really can't do both? You've got to be laser focused on one thing more than another?
I think that the choice, and this is why Vance Joseph is where he's at with this 24 Broncos defense, and I'm not, and I've never been a defensive coordinator, but if I'm a head coach with an offensive background, I say this. I say, choose sound. Be sound against, just in your calls, you got to be sound against quarterback run, against, handing the ball off to Derrick Henry. And now you have some Deontay Johnson, you got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, who I coached in Minnesota, is their third, who dropped a really embarrassing pass that really lost the game. For the Ravens against the Browns this past week. So, and then the other piece of it, man, is they got 2 tight ends, and I love hearing the breakdown from VJ. He was talking about number 88, but I'd also throw Likely into that category. Like those 2 guys between Andrews and Likely, they're both real threats to be able to be significant run blockers, and then crazy threats as pass catchers. And now you got both of them healthy. They didn't have both of them healthy last year. Andrews was injured the majority of last season and really didn't play down the stretch. They're scary on offense right now.
Let me give you one more from VJ from today about challenging their offense.
It's really challenging. Obviously, this league's based on having good players, having a good scheme, but they've got playmakers everywhere. The running game obviously starts with Derrick Henry, and when you have Lamar adding 60 yards a game to that, between the scrambles and the call quarterback runs, it makes it difficult to get it stopped, and that's why they're so high as far as the numbers. Then you add Hill, who's a quick twitch, edge runner. He makes big plays all over the field. You have the jet sweeps with Flowers, and it's multiple playmakers on this offense that can make big plays. And that's the issue. It's not just a running game. They have a number of players who can make touchdowns at every position. Both tight ends are good players. Obviously, they have 2 receivers.
On like that, kind of echoing just what you said. I think they have as many playmakers on their team as any team in the NFL, Mike. Seriously.
You're right.
It's scary how much depth they have and how much talent they have around Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and I think that Deontay Johnson, who has been a bit of a malcontent in his last 2 stops. I don't know if you remember the clip of Deontay Johnson when he was playing for the Steelers and it was going bad and they had terrible quarterback play. It was the Pickett and Randolph and all the – is it Rudolph or Randolph? I don't care.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
Rudolph. Yeah, Mason Rudolph. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He was like loafing on every play, frustrated. He's going to be one of these types of skill players, and I've coached these guys over the years, that when he sees that every play is alive to be able to get a humongous play by playing the play longer, he's going to be a weapon. He's super talented, man. And now you have Zay Flowers not commanding all the double teams. You got 2 incredible tight ends. And then the running back, quarterback position. I don't know did you guys have somebody on your program on PhD today from Baltimore, or was that?
We had a reporter from we had a reporter, David Hacker is a Whacker. The guy's name was Whacker.
So I listened to your guys' program, and then also Kreckman and Lindahl I think they had another Baltimore Ravens everyday cover guy, be the equivalent of Leggy or Kaz.
Sure.
You know, I heard the quote today from either one of I think it was Whacker on your guys' program, that said that the actual shotgun mesh point where Lamar Jackson sticks the football in Derek's belly.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous weapon in all of football at any level right now. Was that Whacker? Or was that
was not us? That must
that was on Kreckman and Lindahl.
Yeah.
Whichever. I apologize for not being able to give proper citation to whoever said that.
Yeah, but we had a guy named Whacker,
which was awesome, and also the son of Jim Whacker, but not related to the Jim Whacker that we all know,
and started covering golf.
Yeah, he was a whacker of golf, which is really cool. I'm just glad that he wasn't like a like a reporter of adult entertainment. That's good. That would have been
because he was on our show and then he was off our show.
Yes. Yeah, he got off your show pretty quickly, which is a different story. But when I heard that was the Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, that ball is put in the stomach. Whoa. Now what? Who am I accounting for? Because you got the most athletic quarterback in NFL history, period. Michael Vick would be my short. I mean, he's on the short list of athletic quarterbacks. Would be there with Lamar?
Do you think Lamar Jackson is good enough to win a Super Bowl?
I've been a Lamar Jackson postseason hater. Be honest. I actually heard Tyler Columbus say it today.
Tyler can't stand him in terms.
Tyler hates athletic quarterbacks. He hates it.
I guess so.
Yeah, he hates athletic quarterbacks, and he has good reason for it. When you're an offensive lineman, you want to block the known. Yeah. And when the quarterback takes a drop back and you're blocking to be able to sustain some type of semblance of a block, knowing your quarterback's going to be in a designated area, whether it be traditional drop back right behind the center or play action pass where it's going to be over the guard tackle cylinder, it's a son of a gun for an offensive tackle to hold on and not know where the hell the quarterback's going to be. And that's understandable, man. I've coached offensive linemen that felt that way. Now, as a play caller,
and by the way, real quick to defend Tyler, this is firsthand experience playing with RG3. This is where it comes
100%. And Russ.
I don't think he played with Russ. I don't
connected to enough guys that he played with in Seattle.
Sure. Oh yeah. Okay.
Bitched about it to him, not knowing where the hell the guy was going to end up in and out of the pocket. Right.
Sure. Yep.
And so, yeah, I see where Tyler's coming from. He's justified in his take on that. But as a play caller, and I know Tyler now coaching football, coaching his son, when you got a quarterback that can cover a multitude of sins for your shitty play calling, that's a great thing. I've had it a few different times in my career, and it was awesome. I had it with Jordan Love. I had it with Kevin Hogan. I wasn't the play caller, but at Stanford, the dude was a lacrosse player, and he could just improvise, man. It was awesome.
I loved Hogan. I loved Hogan in college, man. I actually
thought he was just a baller, man.
I thought he was really going to work out in the NFL. I was kind of psyched when he ended up on the Broncos, and it didn't work out. But I had so much respect for him in college. It was special. I thought, So
he's just a winner. He's a competitor. Yeah. So that piece of the puzzle, man, when you have that kind of guy, it does, dude, you just don't have to be perfect at the quarterback or at the play calling spot. You don't have to be perfect, man. There's a reason that there are, like, I think you and I, or maybe it was on 10 to noon. We went through the list of NFL starting quarterbacks and we talked about who are the guys that are the Dan Marino lack of athleticism. And frankly, Peyton Manning for the majority of his career, Tom Brady for the majority of his career. Who are the guys that are non-athletes? And I think we counted like 6 out of the 32.
Well, I would put Eli in there too. He won 2 Super Bowls.
But that era's that like, let the bygones be bygones. That's what it is, DMac. Like that's not the era we live in right now. Bo Nix,
where would you put Jared Goff?
Jared Goff's one of the 6 that we talked about. Stafford was in that category. There were a couple more.
Let's get to Beau Nix. Let's get to Beau Nix.
Yeah, let's talk Beau Nix.
First of all, let's start with Joe Lombardi, the offense coordinator, giving his props as Beau Nix wins NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month.
Yeah, just getting more comfortable. I mean, I think every bit of experience you get, is helpful. Some of the fundamentals become easier, just calling the plays and getting out of the huddle, and you just have more bandwidth for everything else that comes with playing the position. So I just think as he gets more and more experience, he'll get better and better.
Now, Jaden Daniels won this same award in the month of September, and he had a historic month. I mean, his first month may have been the greatest number-wise rookie quarterback month ever. It was that good. And Beau certainly didn't have that month. But by a lot of measurables, Beau did have a better month than Jaden Daniels. Now, Daniels had 3 games, not 4. So, they had their bye week in there too. But Beau had an outstanding month in the month of October and has won this award. I'm calling it the resistance. And I'm finding that people who just weren't really in on the Broncos drafting Beau Nix off the bat have tended to be the slowest ones coming around to say, hey, he's our future. That's what I'm discovering right now. And I heard Kaner and the morning show talk about, would you offer him a 10-year contract, which is kind of a weird hypothetical because that literally doesn't exist.
Correct.
No team ever would have to offer a guy halfway through their first season a 10-year contract. So you just got to sort of play along, I guess. But based on some sort of weird, flimsy hypothetical, my answer would be yes. Because if you're going to put me in a preposterous situation to make a decision like this, I would say there's enough evidence on the table. If this is all the sample size I get, a rookie of the offensive rookie of the month led his team to 5-3, 5-1 in the last 6 games, won a couple of road games against tough opponents. Okay, I guess if you're making me make that choice, I'd say sure. I'll give him a 10-year contract. Mike?
After the New Orleans Saints game, and we were talking about the passing game, how long ago was the New Orleans Saints game, DMac? 2 weeks ago tonight.
It was a week. Oh, yeah. 2 weeks ago tonight. That's a better way to think of it, yes.
We did this podcast on a Sunday. We broke it down, right? We talked about it. Did we do it that night too?
We did it after the game.
That's right, after the game on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, how 14 days makes just a massive bit of difference, even for you, DMac. Like, even for you. And that's okay. That's the world you live in the National Football League. You do live week to week. As a coach, I live that life. You live week to week. I've had times where I should be the next head coach at XYZ. I'm the hottest guy in the industry. And then not even 5 days later, I should be fired and was fired. Like, you live that life. And the guys that always take get the most amount of credit, but also take the brunt of the criticism, head coach, quarterback, and then offensive coordinator, those 3 guys, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. What do we talk about? And in the case of the Broncos, the offensive coordinator, head coach is the same person. Lombardi's got the title, but we all know that Sean Payton's run that offense. And so I would say this, like, I was so impressed with Beau Nix against the Panthers. So impressed because the growth from what he did against the Saints, which I thought as a passer was concerning. Like, really concerning. You're talking about 0 heavy pressure looks, lots of open dudes that were schemed open, or just personnel were better than the people they were running the routes against. and he missed, and not just one pass. Like it was multiple passes. Looked out of rhythm. His feet looked happy. He just did not look comfortable, and that was just 14 days ago. He looked awesome against the Panthers. Looked awesome. Yep. I know it's the Panthers. I don't care. It's an NFL football game. Like I'm 100% behind that. But just as fast as we are to anoint Bo Nix as the guy, which you should do. If you're a Broncos fan, you should do that, man. Like this is good stuff. You're 5-3. But also, like, you're going to play against the Ravens on the road and the Chiefs on the road. And so I don't think that this is just as much as saying that Bo Nix, in my opinion, isn't the next John Elway, Peyton Manning, even Jake Plummer of the Broncos franchise after you do what you did against the Panthers. I don't think you should say he's the next Drew Lock if these next 2 weeks don't go well. I do think it's a totality of evaluation over the course of a 17-game period. And I think the Broncos are going to make the playoffs, DMac. I am so convinced of it that I wrote a damn article in the Denver Gazette putting my testicles on the line and saying that they're going to make the playoffs.
Let's get into the specifics of that in just a second. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Beau Smith, your Colorado Edward Jones financial advisor, can help you. He'll work to build a complete picture of your financial life, including your unique goals and passions, so he can help you achieve what's most important to you. Call Beau at 303-758-8500 to schedule an appointment today, or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Wow, I missed that guy. Wasn't that good looking in the first place, but I mean, it was better.
Yeah, you know what's good is tonight's Halloween. You know, you
get away with it.
Probably smart to fight off your Irish tendencies.
Yeah,
and probably not consume any libations because it's a blood thinner, and you'll wake up with a bloody pillow.
I appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah,
it does go against my natural inclinations. You have them going to the playoffs. All right. Are we going through game by game, or are we going sort of big picture?
Yeah, Broncos are going to look like ass on Sunday. They're going to lose to the Ravens.
What do you think the score is going to be? I have them losing too. What do you think?
I have it as a 27. I have it as like 27-10.
I had it 27-17. The spread was, it has dropped. Interesting. It's
the Lamar factor because he didn't practice 2 days.
It was at 9.5, and now it's at 8. So the spread has dropped a little bit over the past couple of days with this Lamar news. I agree with you. I do think Lamar will play, although if he doesn't play, that could change my thinking on everything, by the way. And I think Beau in even with 17 points, in my opinion, might put up some nice numbers, maybe. But that would put the Broncos no different than, anybody else who's trailing that has to, chase. So,
I'm fully aware, DMac, that these Ravens that even I'm billing is like, oh, they're so good, they're spooky. They lost the Raiders.
They did.
And they lost the Browns, but they also are a playoff team. They're a Super Bowl contending team. And if they drop this one at home against the Broncos, they're 5-4.
Yeah. It would have, Mike, it would have been way nicer had they beat the Browns. It would have been way nicer.
Yeah,
but honestly, I do want to go through the schedule.
Attainable game.
I do too. All of a sudden, it becomes a bigger game for them, and to get back on track and at home. And
Broncos beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead next week.
That is oh man, we are stealing each other's vibes right there, bro.
You must be reading my Gazette. My articles. I got to start sending them to you.
Would that involve reading? Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I can make it on tape. I'll convert it for you. Yeah.
I like the Broncos against the Chiefs as well. The Chiefs have won 7 games in a row, but 5 of those 7 games have been 7 points or less.
Right.
And the Chiefs were due for a little bit of a letdown at some point. Nobody goes undefeated in the season. And they play Tampa Bay on a Monday night. Much high prior short week, higher profile game, although the Broncos are starting to get everybody's attention. It's been a minute since the Broncos have actually won in Kansas City. I agree with you. So we are on the same page. The Ravens handled the Broncos relatively easily, but the Broncos have their win of the year against Kansas City. I like that. Like that a lot.
DMac, is there any chance we sit here on a Thursday night that Sean Payton gets just a wild hair up his nose and ahead of this 2-game roadie starting out in the Eastern time zone just decides to just invade the Greenbrier for a second time in 1 year and just go spend some bonding time? Another $18 million or something like that to hang out at the Greenbrier for 10 days. What do you think, DMac? Should they hang out at the Greenbrier?
Coach, it's just money. Why not? I mean, they could they could be at the Greenbrier. I don't know. They're not going to, because we could drive to the Kansas City game. You would have, really?
Oh, I'm a psychopath for that kind of stuff. Like, if you find what turned around the season in my book is not the actual property of the Greenbrier, but you do remember the Alamo, remember the Greenbrier, if you will, when you're coaching a team. I would have been like, screw it. We're going to Baltimore. Yeah, let's just take another little quick charter over to the Greenbrier and then head to Kansas City on the way back. Why not?
I'm looking at their schedule. You know, they do have another 2-game roadie. However, you wouldn't do it for that because it's at the Chargers and at the Bengals. Now, I understand it's the Central time zone, not the Eastern time zone for the Chiefs. But you know what? That is actually not a crazy thought, because you're in Baltimore, which is right next door to the Greenbrier. And
not far at all. You
got to get on a plane one way or another to Kansas City. Wow, that's a really interesting thought. They actually could have pulled that off. I know it was one of the most exhausting logistics arrangements ever in the history of the Broncos. I don't think the money is actually a big deal, but it was a lot of work for everybody behind the scenes. But that's a really interesting take. You know what? I will see, because I can't be there. I will see if I can't figure out how to ask Sean Payton that question tomorrow. That's a really good one. Did you consider?
Yeah, I'd love to hear the answer to that.
All right, we'll try to get that done for you. All right, well, Coach, I think we're seeing things more or less the same. You're dressed up as a famous painter. I'm dressed up as a car wreck. Well, more specifically, a bike accident, because literally that's what happens.
Have you seen? So this is my take on why the Broncos are making the playoffs. I really believe.
Sorry, get back to it. Yes, go ahead.
I really believe that the Broncos are going to split in this roadie. I do.
Okay.
And the reason my confidence is based on how freaking good this defense is, and not just how well they're playing, but how thorough they are and how deep they are and how confident they are. Like, they have become an identity for this team. Did you take another hit? You look,
no.
You look even worse.
I know.
Is this a horror movie playing out on Halloween night, man?
Oh my God.
But then after that, DMac, think about so you got 9 games left, right? I think the bookends are a son of a gun, right? So you have the first 2 we already talked about, on the road against Baltimore, on the road against Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then you finish out Cincinnati Bengals, who I think will be rolling at that point in time with Joe Burrow, if he's healthy, and, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all the things. And they'll be much better, and they'll be clearly they'll be in the playoffs.
Okay.
And you finish with the Chiefs at home.
Yeah.
That middle stretch, that 5-game stretch in between, it reminds me a whole hell of a lot of the games that you played over the last 6 games.
Yeah.
It really does.
If you get that big win against the Chiefs, home against the Falcons, good team.
NFC South.
Well, we are not going to look past NFC South teams anymore in terms of personal retribution for Sean Payton. I'm sorry that we slept on it the first time. We get it now.
He loves coaching against the NFC South.
We get it now. Then at the Raiders, total train wreck. Come on now. Home against the Browns just won their Super Bowl. They already did it. They beat the Ravens at home. That's it. And they should be, if they're smart, sellers at the trade deadline. And we should try to get David Njoku, in my opinion. And then home against the Colts, old man Flacco, Anthony Richardson, he's pooped just watching the film.
Dude, Shane Steichen, who I actually coached in college. My dad was the head coach of UNLV. He was a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's in a little bit of hot water now. He's handled this AR5 thing. This thing's not it's not pretty. You just drafted him, DMac. Just drafted him. He's hurt all last year.
You know what I heard? I heard today is he's young. He's 22. He's young. It's like, how old do you have to be to not know if you need out of a game, fake an injury? Seriously. Like, who doesn't understand that? I mean, that's been the standard operating procedure forever in the NFL, man. You just go down, you hold your hamstring, my back, my wrist, whatever. You're automatically out for a play. No matter what, you catch your breath. I mean, who doesn't know this, Mike?
Yeah, the Colts, they're one of those franchises that as much success as they had under Peyton Manning and even a little bit of success with Jim Harbaugh playing quarterback there, Jim Irsay's a problem, man. I mean, these eccentric owners that you want to be, they want to be the king of their castle. They think Mark Davis, Al Davis. It's a problem. Think Schneider from the artist formerly known as the Redskins. These guys are a problem. So I think they will be the walking wounded, dysfunctional franchise, just like you played against with the Jets, the Raiders, Panthers, Saints. You just did it.
By the way, I love your logic too. And one of the things, listen, every game's important, all right? It is. But this game against the Ravens isn't some barometer of things to come. It's not. Especially when you say, hey, man, look next week against the Chiefs and the 4 games after that. You do have a chance, and I agree with you, to win the next 5 games after the Ravens. There's your 10 wins, and you'd be sitting there at 10-4. You're in the playoffs. And your power rankings are way up, and you still got 3 games to go. Yep. And I could absolutely see it, which to me, it's not like I'm throwing in the white towel against the Ravens. I'm just trying to tell people, listen, let's win. I hope so. But this isn't a defining game for anybody. Not really. How about that game against the Chiefs and then do what you need to do against teams that you should beat? Right. And then you're in the playoffs with 3 games to go. That's sick, Mike.
Yeah, and that was the column that I wrote on Monday was what the whole premise of it is that good teams beat the teams that they're supposed to beat.
Right.
And they're honestly not very dramatic in those games, which is what the Broncos have done. At the time the Jets were favored. They were kind of an unknown but very hot, trendy team. Everybody thought they were going to be at least in the AFC hunt, and clearly we know now that they're not. The weather sucked, all that. Outside of that, against the teams that you're supposed to beat, the Raiders, Saints, and against the Panthers, dude, you were in control of the game from the second quarter on. And that's a good thing, man. It's a really good thing. Now, I don't want to dismiss, and I don't want to let the Bo lever that you are off too easy, because I do think that there is an evaluation that needs to take place of Bo Nix playing against a team that can score points, right? Because that's different. Who have the Broncos played this year that you're like, that's a good offense? Like, yeah, they're a really good offense in their current state. It was the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Tampa,
right.
Yep.
It was the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yep.
And that's where I still have the belief that because of that performance, with a healthy Tampa Bay offense, they didn't have a healthy defense. They didn't have Vita Vea. They didn't have Antoine Winfield Jr., but with a healthy offense, this Broncos defense was freaking lights out. And that's why I think this is a playoff team.
We'll be back on Sunday night, if the creek don't rise and my face can survive, to talk all about it as we do Altitude After Dark. Aaron Rodgers just went deep to Garrett Wilson. There's about 13 minutes left to go in this bad boy, and the Jets are up 14-10. Quick prediction.
Wow.
Do they hang on or do they blow it to the Texans?
I think they're going to win this game.
Really?
I do.
Well, let's sign off of here. Let's see if you can't count.
You got to win at some point, right, DMac? You got to, at some point, it's the NFL, right? You're going to win a game when you have some talented players.
No doubt about it. And the morning sprint tomorrow with Raj, and Mike Sanford will be at Joe Willie's on Broadway. Oh, my God. I am going to freak people out, aren't I? It's going to be awkward and uncomfortable. I usually do ride my bike to Joe Willie's. I've done that this entire year. This would be the first time I didn't ride my bike there on a Friday.
I have a solution for you, DMac. I'm going to go ahead and give you this beard right here.
That might work.
Because if you go here,
that might work.
Nobody's going to say anything about you, DMac. You'll be just fine, man. You'll be just fine.
Thanks for watching Altitude After Dark. Bye.